Is this text inappropriate? 36M31F. My fiancé, 36M, has a co-parent relationship with his two sons' mom. I've 31F, been in their life for 4 years now. The BM hasn't wanted a healthy relationship between us, so I keep it cordial. The other day she came to our house to my surprise to drop off Gumbo with their son. I was shocked because this wasn't announced that this was happening. It wasn't our day to have the boys. Next thing I know, my fiancé shows me a text thread between him and his BM where she asked him if he wanted Gumbo, and he said yes. Then as I'm looking at the text, I see another message where he wrote to her, "I don't want to confuse the kids, but I want to be around you. Your love is uplifting." At this point I'm heated because I find that so inappropriate because she has always had feelings for him, and I thought at this point they were keeping it strictly about the kids. What do y'all think? Girl, that text is way beyond inappropriate. Your love is uplifting. That's not co-parenting talk, that's emotional affair territory. And the Gumbo surprise visit was clearly planned between them. You're not overreacting at all. I audibly gasped at that text. That's wild. Honestly, if someone said, "I enjoy being around you," I'd be like, okay, that's kind of weird, but not really inappropriate. It's the confuse the kids part for me that is really gross. Please leave this man. Yeah, he's deliberately keeping her hooked on him, which does not bode well for the future of your relationship. Sounds like he's keeping her on a leash, so she doesn't get too far away. I'd be really uncomfortable if I saw that text. I'd be on the spot getting to the bottom of things. Yeah, that sure as hell sounds like an attempt to rekindle the spark at minimum. I want to be around you. Your love is uplifting. That's a flirt if I ever seen one. I would nope right out of there. My ex-husband and I get along, but neither of us would have ever said anything like that. My 19 female boyfriend, 20 male, got me the same Christmas gift he got for his sister, 22 female. I'm honestly not sure about how I should deal with this. We've been dating for about 2.5 years. During the last year it became increasingly clear to me that him and his sister, let's call her Anna, do not have a healthy relationship. I'm not sure if we even had a single date to ourselves, up until September when both me and Anna went to different cities for college. She was on the other side of the country, while I was just a city away, so I traveled every weekend in order to see him, and that's when we finally had some quality time, just the two of us. A few months ago he told me that he was pretty sure Anna was jealous of me, because she often complained that he would do stuff for me that he wouldn't do for her, and it wasn't fair. He tried establishing boundaries a few times, but he could never stand his ground because she would start to bother him a lot if he tried, insisting and complaining. It doesn't help that their dad is on Anna's side, while their mom understands that a romantic relationship is and should be different to a sibling one. There's honestly a lot more, such as more often than not even knowing that she would be coming along with us up until he came to pick me up, and I got a "we're here" text instead of an "I'm here" one. There's also what I personally deem excessive physical contact. I can understand giving a back rub when your back's itching, even though I've never asked my family for that, but I do find kissing your brother's bare back after a back rub quite weird. As well as Anna's PFB, which is of my boyfriend kissing her cheek, and it genuinely looks like a photo of a couple. As well as excessive phone calls, she called him 10 consecutive times when he was out with friends during the week, because he was out later than usual. He got home at about 12:30 a.m. As well as calling now that we're hanging out without her just to check in and keep us company until we get to our destination. I broke down to him about this a while ago, because I can't deal with having to feel like I'm competing with his sister, and I've honestly thought about breaking up with him, because I genuinely felt like the third wheel in my own relationship. It got better for the last couple of months, but she just came back from college, and I am honestly scared of things going back to how they were before. Now to the incident at hand. I accidentally found out what my boyfriend's gift will be for Christmas. It's a Christmas hair bow, and he also got a Christmas bow tie so we can match. A couple of days ago we were out, and he asked me if there was anything I'd like, as he felt like maybe his gift wouldn't be enough. I asked him how much he spent on it, as he might feel like maybe he didn't spend enough, and I wanted to reassure him it was okay, whatever amount it was. I'm going to write out the rest of our interaction as rough dialogue for simplicity. This is kind of how it went. Him, for your bow my bow tie, and my sister's bow I spent. Me, your sister's bow. Him, yeah? I got her one too for Christmas. Me, is it the exact same one? Same pattern too. Him, yeah. Me, so you got us the same gift? Why? Him, She said she wanted one too, so we could all match. Even if I didn't get it for her, she would have gotten it herself. At that point I told him that was weird couples. Match. The only time I matched with my brother and his girlfriend was when the whole family was matching with similar Christmas sweaters. It wasn't me intruding. I could maybe understand Anna wanting to match with him, even if I personally think that's too much, but matching with the both of us? The only time it's reasonable to match with a couple, in my opinion, is if you're the child of said couple. I think it's weird for her to want to match with us, and it's not okay. This is crossing another line. I also told him that I get that it's the thought that counts when it comes to gifts, but I'm honestly not sure if I can appreciate the thought behind this gift when this is the situation. He got extremely quiet. He let me ramble a little, but it was clear he was going non-verbal, and we needed to go somewhere quiet and let him have some space. He was upset, not at me, because he now thought that my gift was ruined. I didn't have the heart to tell him that honestly. Yeah, it kind of was. I haven't seen his sister yet. I'm invited to his aunt for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, like every year, but I'm not sure if I can go. I don't think I'll be able to hide the disappointment in my face. I genuinely hate talking about this because I feel like it paints him in a bad light. It isn't his fault that he grew up in an environment where this kind of unhealthy attachment was normal and encouraged. He is slowly understanding that this bond isn't okay, and I get that he's still processing that thought alone as it came as a shock when it talked to him about it. I'm not sure what to do, and I really need advice. Thank you for reading. Update. Thank you all for your advice and kind words. I appreciated it a lot. I asked him to meet up after he was done with work so that we could talk face to face. So he picked me up and then parked around the neighborhood so we could talk privately in the car. It might have honestly been the first time we talked about any issue face to face, and I'm proud of myself for being able to speak up and making myself understood. I made sure to make him understand how upsetting and unhealthy the situation is. I brought up a lot of your points, such as making him recognize that this is emotional incest. He had to took the caregiver role and give up a lot of his childhood because of it, due to their parents not being home often because of work, financial issues. That was neglect on their part, and even if it's involuntary, this situation has made Anna abusive towards him. I talked to him about how in most cases it's not right to gift your girlfriend and sister the same thing, and that this also sets a precedent, because what if at some point he wants to gift me something more intimate like a perfume? What if she asks him to get her the same one, and even if he doesn't, is she going to buy the same one for herself? That's too much. I also brought up the fact about the excessive phone calls and texts, and guess what? That happened today too. We met up at about 17:30. He always calls his mom just to let her know he made it safe to wherever he's going, and he did that today as well before telling me he'd arrived. His sister started calling at about 18:55. He'd usually answer, but he straight up denied the call and told me that she can ask their mother where he is. She called another 3 times. He always denied it. Then she called him on WhatsApp once at about 19:10, still denied. And when that didn't work, I was worried she might call me, but instead she called him using their mom's phone just a few seconds later, because she knew he would answer as his mother only calls for important things. He picked up, heard her voice sounding offended, like she was pouting, because he was ignoring her and she just wanted to know how he was. Him, reasonably pissed off, just told her everything was fine and to stop calling. Then he hanged up on her. So that was a total of 6 calls in the span of about 15 minutes. We went back to talking. He agreed with everything I was saying, and told me that it was getting extremely frustrating and tiring for him. He just always thought that's how things were, and he just had to deal with it. I brought up the physical stuff as well, and he admitted that he really wants space from her, and is the one always looking for physical affection. For context, I'm diagnosed autistic, and we're pretty sure he's too, so he's really uncomfortable with physical contact unless he's the one searching for it. But alas, his sister and father don't seem to care. He told me that just yesterday he was giving a hug to his mom, and Anna complained about him being nice to their mom, but being mean to her, and their father scolded him and went to give kisses to Anna. I truly believe that the both of them are the reason he didn't think anything was weird and that his own feelings didn't matter. There's honestly a lot more since Anna was their miracle baby while he was an accident, and truly a lot more that just led to him sacrificing himself for anything his family wanted. But it isn't my story to tell. He told me he wants things to change, but he doesn't know what to do to make that happen. So we wrote a message to my previous therapist who helped me deal with family stuff, as well as depression and social anxiety, and I can definitely vouch for her. If nothing comes up, he has an appointment this Friday, and I'll be there with him because he wants me for support. He then went home for dinner, and about 10 minutes after texting me he was home, he told me that he really had enough of it and blew up at his sister and dad. Why? He came home and his dad didn't even greet him, just asked him sarcastically if he called his sister back, and that was the breaking point. He told him that she needs to stop. She called 6 times in 15 minutes. If he's anywhere doing anything, she can't just bombard him with calls. She heard him. She was in the bathroom washing her face because she was crying, and she said that it wasn't true and she didn't call that many times. He took out his phone to show the register of the calls and told their dad to stop defending everything she does. She started crying again, and their dad tried to scold him, saying she was crying since earlier because of him. Anna went to their mom, and she straight up told her that she needs to learn not to call him so much. He isn't a child, and she can't be all over him. Later on their dad told him something. I'm not sure how to translate it, giving her more confidence. But it basically means that he needs to stop being cold and distant from her, and that she was crying because he wasn't answering. Mind you, he was denying the calls, not ignoring them. She saw that he intentionally hung up instead of him not being able to answer because something happened. He finally stood up for himself and said that she needs therapy for her anxieties. She can't just stress him because of them. Dad tried to say that it doesn't cost him anything to answer, but boyfriend said that he doesn't have to answer her or tell her about everything he does, and from now on when he's out he'll only answer to his mom's calls, and if it's anyone else calling from her phone he's hanging up. So that's it for now. I'm really proud of him, and I made sure he knew that. Later on he also told me he's happy that I finally felt like I could speak up freely around him, as I do have issues communicating, especially face to face, and this was the first time we've talked about a serious issue IRL. I'm happy with how everything went, and for Christmas we might celebrate at my house for the first time. Thank you all again for helping love. I'll end this with a little tidbit he told me about when we were talking earlier. 2 days ago we went out. Since I started college, when I come back home we've started hanging out for the whole day, instead of just the afternoon and evening. Apparently his sister didn't know that. She called before dinner to ask if we wanted to go to their house for a bit since their mom made a Christmas dish. We politely declined because we were already going back to my house to eat, and apparently yesterday. She was offended and upset because we didn't want to hang out with her. Just hearing it made me want to bang my head against a wall. You talk about your boyfriend not holding up his boundaries, but what about you? You should be the one telling yourself, it's not going to change, I'm leaving. It took you 2 years to actually bring that up, to have even alone time together. Do you love that guy, or the idea of him without that weird relationship, if he picked you? Because he isn't picking you. He chose to buy you the same present. That's not because she was bothering him and pushing boundaries. That was 100% his choice. And he did it all by himself. Stop finding excuses for his behavior. She kisses his bare back, called 10x straight when he was out, has a couple pic as her PFP, and inserts herself into your relationship constantly. Your boyfriend knows it's wrong but won't set boundaries. Her interactions with him are not normal, and he lets her get away with it. Also, why are you the one driving to see him every weekend when you are in college? I'm guessing he takes her phone calls too, whenever she calls when you two are on a date. Simply put, if he won't prioritize you over his sister, it's time to break up so you can find a man who will. Run far, far away. If after this long she still has her claws in him, and their father thinks this bizarre relationship is normal, I don't see things getting any better. I actually wouldn't be that surprised if they had a sexual relationship. Throw in the towel. You didn't do anything wrong, but you are doing a disservice to yourself to continue to see him. I read the title and I thought, it's not that bad. Because, for example, my boyfriend did that once because we were at the mall and his sister and me were looking at merch from a movie we both like, and bonded over that movie when we first met. So my boyfriend saw we both were looking at that plushie, and he bought one plushie for each of us. That is an example of a wholesome situation. But when I read the rest of your post, I immediately got really uncomfy. I think their behavior is not normal, and they do have a strange relationship. He is not choosing your happiness and making you uncomfortable. You should be his priority. His priority shouldn't be supporting that weird behavior. Send him this post. I, 33F, need some advice on husbands. 33M, reaction regarding son's hair. Okay, so I, 33F, just want some opinions and perspectives. My eldest, 8M, wants to grow out his hair. He wants Justin Bieber hair, his words. I honestly don't mind. I feel like it's one of the small things we can give him autonomy over since his school also doesn't mind as long as it's kept neat. So I did tell him if he doesn't wash and groom it properly without constant reminders, then we're going to cut it shorter. My husband, 33M, disagrees. We've been together 12 years, married 9. He thinks it's fine to grow out for the holidays, but should keep it short during school times to look presentable and instill discipline. I feel like he's kind of still stuck in the mindset that boys are only presentable with short hair. I feel that most people nowadays don't really care all that much when boys have long hair. So presentable is subjective here. He wants our son to be presentable according to his standards. And I told him people trying to control my hair when I was younger did not instill discipline. It just made me dislike them, and I did so many things to my hair as soon as I could in a short time when I was an adult that I did end up damaging it quite a bit, at the start grinning face with sweat. He says that I'm trying to be our son's friend, and I'm trying to explain that I just feel this is a small bit of autonomy we can give him now, since school rules and such limit a lot of other things. So now he's kind of mad at me and said that if I want him to stop discipling our son, then I must say so. That honestly kind of ticked me off, and I told him he's being dramatic. That's not what I'm saying, and letting hair grow out isn't going to turn him into some deviant. I just don't understand why our son's hairstyle is so important to him. Why does he feel like it's an extension of who he is as a parent, and that if our son has long hair that it somehow reflects badly on him? I also reminded him that he married an alternative woman, as I dress pretty goth till this day, and he's never thought that made me less presentable even if it does not meet societal standards. I'm honestly just baffled at his reaction. Any insights would be appreciated as to his thought process. Update: we sat and talked it out. It had to do with some personal things regarding our son's background that I'd rather not share on Reddit for their privacy and safety. It's nothing insidious, but it is something our son is in therapy over. Afterwards I did tell him that I'm glad it's not anything to do with him perceiving the long hair as feminine, and he laughed and reminded me he had long hair when we met. We sat and talked to our son and came to the conclusion that he at least needs a trim to shape it, because right now it just looks poofy. His barber only opens again in Jan, so he can collect some inspo pics of what he wants and decide what he wants to do with his hair then. After we were able to talk calmly, things made a lot more sense, and we've managed to sort it out where everyone is happy with the conclusion. You're not trying to be his friend, you're letting him have reasonable choice about his own hair. Your husband sounds like he has a military background. My thoughts, but are more questions maybe to go over with your husband. At what age does your husband think your son is allowed to have a say on his appearance, of how his hair is styled? Is it 10, 15, or when he's out of the house? Does your husband want to raise your son to be a copy of all your husband's good traits? Or does he want to raise a son who develops his own sense of self? Kids at 8 years old have self-esteem. They want to look how they think is cool or nice just as adults. What about keeping your hair short instills discipline? Let kids do kid things. They have a lifetime of having to care what corporate thinks. Let them have shaggy green emo cuts or whatever while they're young. Don't die on the style hill. They want to wear patent leather sneakers and look like a Muppet. You tell them how authentically amazing they look. It's not hurting anyone as long as it's culturally and seasonally appropriate. Long hair seems to be back in style. This doesn't instill discipline, it enforces conformity. Allowing your child to have input into his hairstyle is a way for him to explore his individuality in a constructive way. Was your husband in the military? Your husband is projecting his issues onto your son. He may win the moment, but the damage over the years will accumulate. If he wants to have a relationship with his son when he is an adult, he'll need to learn to not be a controlling dad. Is it generally considered bad to talk about your period in public? F29M40. My boyfriend told me it was inappropriate that I whispered to him in the supermarket that I wanted chocolate because I was on my period. I told him I wouldn't do it again with him if it made him uncomfortable. But I've never experienced this being a problem before. As a woman, I've talked about my period with friends and others many times, and no one has ever said it was inappropriate. That's why I personally don't see it as a bad thing. Now I'm confused. He says I'm being tone deaf, but I don't understand how quietly wanting chocolate and whispering to him could be wrong. He thinks it's a bad manners to even say it in supermarket, public, like that. Wow, it's a normal and reoccurring part of your and a large part of the population's lives. It's completely fine to talk about as long as you aren't shouting like weirdly graphic details, haha. I think you burst his bubble of how exciting it is to have an 11 years younger girlfriend. It is too real for him to think of you in that regard. Don't date emotionally stunted men that are 11 years older than you. He is not your parent. He doesn't get to scold you in public. I don't know when you got together, but you weren't mature for your age. He is a creep. Nothing you said or did was inappropriate, tone deaf, or bad manners. Weak men are weak about periods. The older they are, the more common it is. But no, I'm walking around flooded by my own blood. If it comes up, I'm going to mention it. It is not wrong. He's being weird. What 40-year-old man is that uncomfortable about his partner's period? It is totally appropriate to say you want chocolate as you are on your period. Any man uncomfortable discussing periods is too immature to be having sex with a woman